time for the main event. It's the Shoe Shine.
No, they want to see me doing bad, but I'm good.
¿Qué onda, vatos locos? Damas y caballeros, it's your boy Dave in the 702, coming back at you for that Monday night boxing recap known as the Shoe Shine. Joining me all the way from the city of brotherly love, Philly Irish. Damn, you must be excited. ¿Qué pasa, Drew?
What's up, Dave?
Good to have you on. What, Super Bowl preview week? Shit. Philadelphia must be popping. Saludos to Fonzie619 joining us first in the chat. Appreciate the homeboy Fonzie. Fonzie was asking me, Drew, and I saw a viral video go viral out of Philadelphia. It's this black brother, and he loves Don Julio, right? And I do too, man. And I'm pissed because I was telling Fonzie, who was here at the fight this week, man, shout out to my boy Fonzie, that they got a collaboration between Popeye's Chickens and Don Julio. And apparently, like, I can't get it in Vegas, Drew, but you could get it in Philly because that guy made a video that went viral on YouTube. He was drinking Don Julio and trying the new Popeye's Don Julio chicken sandwich and I believe chicken wings. So I'm wondering if you've had a chance to try it yourself.
Nah.
I got to tell you guys, we're going to get to boxing, obviously, Drew, but man, I was pissed. I was pissed this weekend. I wasn't pissed about any of the boxing related shit, man. Not at all, man. But I was pissed off about these Trump tariffs because, Drew, people don't know. I see everybody on Twitter going, oh, we're so happy. You know, if I saw one guy say that if I got to give up fucking shitty guacamole and shitty liquor, then I'm happy for America. Do you know how many people drink tequila? Do you know how many Mexican restaurants on the West Coast's prices were going to skyrocket? It's not just avocados that are imported from Mexico. Every fucking Whirlpool washing machine, every car part you could imagine, BMW, Honda, Ford. I mean, thank God. Thank God the Mexican president and Donald Trump are talking. So shout out to that for that tariff being avoided for now. No tariff on Mexico products for 30 days. Because, Drew, I was about to go spend my last dollar buying every bottle of Don Julio. I'm like, 25% tax increase on tequila? Shout out everybody joining us. This was an incredible weekend for boxing. I hate to say it, Drew, but I think PBC hit a home run. PBC finally hit a home run. They delivered an excellent card, albeit I'm not happy about people who had to pay $79.99. If you're upset about the price tag, if you feel you got the value, if you feel some of us here in the chat got to see the fight in person, shout out to Fonzie. Were you content with what PBC delivered? I think they finally hit a home run, and I want to, give them flowers, as the young kids say these days. Let's give PBC their flowers. They put together a good card. Sometimes you cannot predict this as a matchmaker, that the Figueroa Fulton fight, apparently people were really bored of it because the fight that preceded it, which was, Fierro versus Cruz, was probably a fight of the year contender for the Aztec Warrior belt. It's hard to compete. And I think that's why people were booing. They were frustrated with the pace because, well, obviously it wasn't as good as the fight that just happened. If I had been PBC, I would have recognized that. And I had said it all the last week, Drew. I said, this is going to be the fight that's probably going to steal the show is Angel Fierro versus Cruz. It did, in my opinion. The main event was fantastic. Not going to be a fight of the year candidate. But, it still delivered a very exciting card. Shout out to Dude. Appreciate you. Carlos M is in here. Yeah. What's that? I ended up buying Hennessy for LeBron James. I wouldn't doubt it, Fonzie. I wouldn't doubt it. Drew, let's run through these fights. All from the beginning of the Jesus Ramos versus Jason Rosario. But I've got something on my mind too, Drew, and I'm loving the new show. Everybody your new Eagles jersey, Drew. We got one person saying go Chiefs. Obviously, we're going to do a football show this week sometime, so stay tuned for that. Drew representing the city of Philadelphia.
I paid $175 for it.
Yeah, man, I'm not surprised, Drew. The NFL gear, especially around Super Bowl, is ridiculously expensive. But shout out to your team for being in there. I want to say this, Drew, because I've been living in Las Vegas. Well, pretty soon. It's going to be 2 years, and I'm going to be celebrating 2 years living here in Las Vegas. And I've got to witness David Benavidez rise to stardom. Literally, guys. You guys can go back on my channel. I've done every single one of his live media day workouts since I got here. I've been to a couple of his fights. I've gotten to gauge David Benavidez from the WBC mandatory to Canelo at 168. I've got to watch him grow, not only as a fighter, but as someone who's here selling tickets in the city of Las Vegas, Drew. And there was a lot of controversy. There always is around ticket sales and how many people are going to buy the pay-per-view. And I was, okay, this is his first time at T-Mobile, Drew. They did close off the top section. That ain't no fraud. Fonzie was in the house. 18,000 people. No, not 18,000 people. Still a very good turnout. Not only at the weigh-ins, which I put the weigh-ins here, but does it matter, Drew, that David Benavidez can't sell the T-Mobile out? Because he says, today I was just reading, he says he thinks he's going to be the face of boxing really soon. And with this big dramatic news I'm hearing today, not only did we get some confirmation that Canelo's going to fight Crawford, we got that officially. A rumor came out hours later, and guys, this is still a rumor. It has not been officially announced that Canelo's going to fight Jake Paul in May. I'm fucking disgusted, man. And I don't want to say anything bad about Jake Paul because actually, good friend of our show, Lucas Body, is going to be headlining a Most Valuable Production show in Toronto, Canada. So shout out to Lucas. He's done a lot of good things for boxing, Jake Paul. And a lot of boxers are getting fed very, very well, and they deserve those paydays. So I'm not going to disparage. But if this fucking rumor is true that Canelo is going to fight Jake for Cinco de Mayo, I'm fucking disgusted, man.
It's a fucking joke. I'm sorry. Canelo just needs to retire after this year. He just does. You can't. I'm really gonna start moving them down my pound for pound list.
Carlos says he loves the fight. You must be trolling us. You must be. Honestly, guys, if you're worried about Canelo's legacy, if you're really worried like I am, I had to reason with myself. I did see from a viable source, Chava from ESPN Deportes in Spanish, Drew. He put it out there. If you read carefully into the tweet, and his tweet came way after a lot of rumors were circulating on boxing Twitter. It says for this year, being discussed for this year. Shout out to Boxing Mech site, man. Saludos, homie. It's being discussed for this year. It's not necessarily being discussed for this May. And there's a lot of reasons why you should not be too worried, guys. First and foremost is that it is official. It is official that Canelo Crawford is already ready to be signed. It's ready to be signed. They have agreed upon it. The contracts are being drawn up. And according to Ring Magazine, that is owned by Turki Al-Sheikh, this is fucking great news. Canelo Alvarez versus Crawford Riyadh season will be the first major boxing event at Allegiant Stadium. A potentially 70,000 screaming fans will get to watch two of the greatest fighters of this current generation fight in Las Vegas this September. Will Drew Evil be in the house? Who is going to be there? I need to have a shoe shine meet and greet. That's what's going to happen this September. This is going to be the first major boxing event at the most beautiful modern stadium the NFL has, Allegiant Stadium. And why am I bringing up Jake Paul in May? Because Jake Paul himself has almost sold out the Dallas, Texas, home of the Dallas Cowboys, Drew. He's done it almost himself with Mike Tyson. There was no way you were going to convince Jake Paul to fight Canelo at T-Mobile Arena or at the Sphere, which only holds, 15,000 people, and T-Mobile holds 18,000, MGM Grand holds 13,000, Mandalay Bay holds. You are not going to convince Jake Paul, the money man, to fight Canelo in a small venue like the T-Mobile. It's not going to happen. Furthermore, Jake Paul is coming up, from heavyweight? He weighed 230 pounds. He will not be losing that weight by May. Okay, so what is this going to be, a catch weight where Canelo balloons up to cruiserweight and then loses all this weight for Crawford 3 months later? It ain't going to happen in May, guys. What I did read into from Chava, ESPN Deportes, is that it's being discussed potentially for 2025. I'm going to guess maybe at the end of 2025. And here's another thing, Drew. I want to get your take on this. If Canelo fights Jake Paul in May, like the IBF, I'm sorry, but the WBC, the WBO, the WBA, one of them is going to have to stand up to Canelo and say, you can't be the super middleweight fucking champion of the world and not defend your title for the entirety of 2025, because Crawford is not ranked as a contender at 168, let alone 160. He is not defending the title against any super middleweight sanctioned by any of the sanctioning bodies. You'd have to strip him. The IBF already did it. Canelo will no longer be undisputed, and it's fair to say that all three of the sanctioning bodies could put him in recess or just outright strip him of his titles, which diminishes the Crawford fight for Turki Al-Sheikh. Canelo is going to fight William Skull. Mark my words. He is going to fight William Skull and regain status as undisputed champion. Christian and Billy is already signed to fight. Okay? Everyone's like, fight Christian and Billy. He's already got a fight in May. That's official. Drew, what do you think of all this nonsense, man? Let me know what you guys think, man. Is Canelo Alvarez going to be there fighting Jake Paul? Carlos M says, I plan to be there in September, I'm presuming. Fonzie says, Canelo versus Crawford is lame. I'd rather watch a chick flick. Fonzie, you come to everything. You're not going to come to the Allegiant Stadium. Drew, what do you think? What's going on, man?
Why he gets no credit. It's a no-win situation for Canelo fighting Terrence Crawford. Like, I don't know what the fuck Turki Sheikh's fate. I want to see this fight. Why? They're not in the same weight class. He's 2 or 3 weight classes down.
2.
The fight you probably will want to see is him versus Benavidez. But I really like it. I question a lot of decisions Turki Al-Sheikh makes. I question a lot of the decisions. It don't make sense. I really look at it like this. He's holding the division. He's holding the titles hostage, and he needs to just be stripped of them or give the belts up. You're not really going to defend those belts against legitimate contenders. So give the belts up and just let the young guys try to win these belts. Get their foot in the door, try to get bigger fights for being a champion and everything. And just move on. Like what he is doing is somewhat holding up a division, and it's being a disgrace to the sport, but it's not as big of the disgrace as Tank Davis is.
I had no plans about talking about Tank Davis this week, Drew, by any chance.
Let's put it out there like this. PBC is about to be acquired by Turki Al-Sheikh and DAZN. Now, if they go, they have events. They're going to have contracts of the PBC fighters. Does it include Tank's contract? Maybe, maybe not. But I'm thinking after this month, I think they acquired the contracts of PBC fighters. And I think that I think this fight right here for Tank is his last fight, because I can't see him fighting on DAZN, and because he's not going to get the leverage he wants. He's not going to be able to have his advantages. He's going to have to fight them on an even playing field. And Tank's not used to doing that, giving people fair shakes. So the Lamont Roach fight will be the last fight of Tank Davis's disappointing career. And we'll just have to look at as boxing with fighters like this being the reason why this boxing as a sport is in the case the case that it's in. But Canelo, I think that the only thing Canelo should do, keep defending your belt against your belts in super middleweight if you're not going to go up the light heavyweight. Or pursue a fight with David Benavidez and bring him down to 168. You have all the leverage.
Drew, I put up actually Canelo's last 4 fights versus David Benavidez's last 4 fights, and David Benavidez's resume in his past 4 fights is actually very impressive. He beat a 175-pound former champion member of the famous Ukrainian Olympic team that included Lomachenko. He beat Demetrius Andrade, a former champion, and he beat a former super middleweight champion in Caleb Plant. Jaime Munguia, never a champion at 168, although a great Mexican fighter. Jermel Charlo, a 154-pound fighter. And John Ryder, someone that used to be a fringe contender at 160. I think, to me, it's obvious that the better resume in the past 4 fights is, and let's not mention Edgar Berlanga, this is the most recent. I think the better resume goes to David Benavidez. Now, I want to give you a chance to respond to Carlos M. because he says, Drew was fine with Fury versus Ngannou, called it a cash grab with full understanding. All of a sudden, Drew is a purist?
Number one, I wasn't okay with it. Number two, I did say it was a cash grab, but I wasn't okay with it. I thought he should have been fought a legitimate boxer, not an MMA guy that wasn't ranked. So I don't know where he got his information from. I think he needs to go back to the episode we talked about that and listen to it again before he goes to bed.
Like, he could easily find it. He says, okay, you didn't call it a disgrace.
Now you're trying to look for excuses?
Oh, shit. I don't have my phone line up, guys. I really need to bring it back. This of all days, we should have had the phone set up for today. A lot to talk about, 4 fights to cover. Plus, do we even bother talking about Clarissa?
We'll be doing a favor not to have that phone line, because if the one person you have
okay.
called,
all right.
It's gonna be like a Shakur Stevenson fight, and I'm gonna say, where the fuck is my pillow at?
All right, let's not disparage any of our listeners and contributors to this great show, the Shoe Shine Podcast. All right, I do want to dive into that. So as it stands, guys, right now, how do you guys feel? Are you guys okay with Crawford, Canelo being finalized? It will be finalized really soon, and you can take it from the Ring Magazine, which is owned by Turki Al-Sheikh, who will be financing this. If it's been announced by Ring Magazine, it's as good as true. Canelo versus Crawford will be for Mexican Independence Day this September in Las Vegas, the biggest fight in Las Vegas history. Potential to have 70,000 screaming fans. And that's why I say, I'm telling you guys, don't worry about the Jake Paul fight being announced for May. It's probably not going to happen. It's probably capped. They're probably trying to gauge fans' response on social media, and it's not good. It ain't good. People aren't even happy to discuss Jake Paul in the same sentence as Canelo. And as Drew and I both pointed out, you have to strip Canelo of his titles. You have to. He cannot hold these titles hostage to real boxers. Jake Paul, he's a real boxer. He's not.
Dave,
yeah.
You're being inconsistent now.
How's that?
You're being inconsistent now. Hating on Canelo. We're hating on Canelo.
I'm hating on the decision to fight him. Listen, if Canelo fights Crawford in September, okay, who he isn't ranked, it's fine. It's also a cash grab. Fine. He said he wanted $200 million. I'll be curious to see what Turkey paid him. But in May, he has to defend the title against somebody that is ranked by one of those sanctioning bodies. And if it's William Skull who has one of those titles, fine. I know William Skull sucks, but fine. Fight the Cuban. We have a Cuban versus Mexican rivalry going, guys. If you didn't pay attention, there was a fantastic middleweight prospect on the PBC card, Yoeli Hernandez. That motherfucker is bad as fuck, Drew. He is going to destroy the middleweight division. He destroyed Angel Ruiz on the undercard of that PBC card. You must watch out for him. We kind of have a new thing going on, Mexico versus Cuba. Shout out to Mom Food. Good to see you, Mom Food. Appreciate you guys. If you guys haven't subscribed to my homegirl, Mom Food, check her out on YouTube right here on this platform. Fonzie says, Skull versus Pacheco would be nice. You know what? Drew, did we not talk about Pacheco versus Canelo? He's obviously not ready, but at least he is a ranked contender. And I'll tell you who I wouldn't mind seeing. I wouldn't mind seeing Morell go back to 168 and prepare to clean out the division if he can make 168. Morell's power has not shown to carry in those 2 fights. It's just average power at 175. I think he cleans out 168 if Canelo wasn't there. And actually, I think now that he has the experience, which was very important, he lacked the experience to beat David Benavidez. I think now that he has a big fight like that under his belt and you start to fight some of these guys like Caleb Plant, he didn't get a chance to fight Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant congratulated Morell at the T-Mobile Arena and said, Keep your head up high. I know you're going to be a world champion. That came from Caleb Plant to David Morrell. I know you're going to be a world champion. Let's get into it, guys. Let's get into the first fight. Jesus Ramos Jr., Casagrande, Arizona, makes his debut at 160. He's already announcing, Drew, he is coming back down to junior middleweight with the potential to fight. There's Fundora works at PBC. Fundora's fighting an unknown fighter to me. He's defending his 2 titles against an unknown. He's already beat the likes of Mendoza, who beat Fundora. He's beat the shit out of Joey Spencer, who, by the way, if you didn't hear, Joey Spencer's getting the fight with not Keith Thurman. He's getting the fight with Tim Tszyu.
Wow, he's going to get destroyed.
He's getting the fight with Tim Tszyu. Tim Tszyu really needs to build himself back up. And seeing that, you know, our boy here, Jesus Ramos, already worked Joey Spencer, he's probably fairly confident. I can get back in the win column, get my confidence going again. But what did you guys think? Jesus Ramos moves up to 160, knocks out Jason Rosario. Drew, is Jason Rosario at 29 ready for retirement?
Yeah, unfortunately he is. And, man, he's going to be a punching bag. Tommy Ecorn Longway, pause. Bro, pause. Ecorn Longway?
I have no idea.
No, Diddy.
I have no idea.
God.
Drew, what do you think of Jesus Ramos Jr. coming down back to 154? On an interview with me and D Stout, he mentioned that absolutely he would love to fight Xander Zayas, Top Rank's best 154-pound contender. But at PBC, he's kind of hoping that Charlo will come back down to 154. He's talked about a Charlo fight. I don't think Charlo's moving back down to 154. I just don't see it, man. I don't think those Charlos are really even worth mentioning. They're completely inactive.
I think the Charlos don't even, like, you know, I can't even believe that they're not active enough, because don't even believe how that they still got money being inactive as they are, you know. Like, I think like Jamal Charlo, something's mentally wrong with him.
Could be. I mean, mental health is a real problem for a lot of people in America.
Yeah, like I think he has issues with mental health. It's like how are you not active at all? And like it just seems like the stress level. Like we don't even know where he's at. He's off the face of the earth. It's like MIA, and nobody sees that this dude's trying to get back in the gym and train. Like it seemed like they didn't take it seriously. They got the good first couple of $1 million, and then they look at it. Oh, I can do what I want and still make money and everything. The money's still gonna come in. It's like this. You inactive, you're not getting paid. It's just straight up simple.
So, Drew, for the Casa Grande native and Jesus Ramos Jr., good friend of the show, man, I'm going to give him an A for his performance on Saturday. He had a tough time against Erickson Lubin on the undercard of Canelo. He almost embarrassed himself, and then the judges didn't agree with the way he fought, and he earned a loss on that one. Now he's back 2 wins straight. He's coming back down to 154. I just told you guys, Tim Tszyu is going to be fighting Joey Spencer. That's that one loss came to our boy Jesus Ramos. That's going to happen in April. If you are serious about rebuilding Tim Tszyu in 2025, we got the fucking interview. We got the tape. I played it last week. Jesus Ramos said he'll fight Tim Tszyu in Australia, but even better, Tim Tszyu comes back to Las Vegas. Tim Tszyu comes back to Las Vegas at the end of 2025 fall and fights Jesus Ramos Jr. on Mexican Independence Day at Allegiant Stadium. That's how you do it, guys. That's the fight to make. D-Style, call up your boy. Play the tape. Let him know. After Tim Tszyu beats Joey Spencer in Australia, get the paperwork ready to sign up a fight for Jesus Ramos Jr. versus Tim Tszyu on the undercard of Canelo Alvarez versus Crawford. It's going to be a PBC/Turkey Ali Sheik fight, guys. All right, Ramos gets an A from me, Drew. Let's move on to the fight that came after that, the fight that a lot of people said stole the show, guys. Let me know if you guys love this fight as much as I did. I mentioned that it was for a title the WBC made up as the Aztec Warrior. Aztec Warrior in commemoration of the late fighter who just passed away. Let me get this picture up. The Aztec Warrior belt. I got so many pictures here that right now it escapes me, guys. But let's talk about Angel Fierro versus Pitbull Cruz. I got to watch them work out, Drew. Here's the belt. It's in commemoration of Israel Vasquez, who just passed away of cancer. Israel Vasquez had 3 fantastic fights, a trilogy, one of the greatest Mexican trilogies, and he's no longer with us, Drew, and that belt is in commemoration. I'm just going to say it right now, guys. Angel Fierro and Pitbull Cruz can run this shit back immediately. They need to run it back in May or run it back on Mexican Independence Day. You already know that the fight delivered. Drew's getting ready to... They delivered over 1,300 punches, combined punches. Let's look at these CompuBox. And Drew, let me know who you think won this fight. Was Angel Fierro getting back in the fight? Let's look at these CompuBox numbers really quickly. What was your take on this fight? 2 Mexican warriors that fight coming forward.
It's just got like to do a Mexican style, each of them, it's more offensive fight and defensive fight. I didn't even see a defensive move in this fight. I had Isaac winning. So,
right.
So it was a good fight. The fight, now you have to worry about, you had a great fight like that. The next fight, is it going to follow up? Most of the time it doesn't.
Right. Shout out to everybody joining us in the chat. If you haven't hit that like button, let's get that to 30 likes right now. Appreciate you guys. Let's look at that 10th round, Drew. 75 punches thrown by Pitbull Cruz, 102 for Angel Fierro in the 10th round. Man, unbelievable total amount of shots thrown, a lot of punishment exchange. Wiley Coyote says Fierro could have got the nod in my books. It was a really close fight. He did look like he wasn't handling Pitbull Cruz's power early on, but he rallied back and easily could have been a 6-4. How did you guys have it? Boxing Magic Mexide says that Pitbull was shredding Fierro, especially in those early rounds, but I think that Fierro, once he got his timing down, he really got back in the fight. And quite honestly, I don't know if Fierro, he probably could get the nod if he was to have a trilogy. And these are the 2 type of fighters that are meant for each other, guys. Just like, I think they showed from Michoacan, what was his name? The announcer, Abner Mares and Leo Santa Cruz, and they were joking. He said something about his beard's almost as good as mine. These kind of those kind of people are made for each other. And Angel Fierro and Pitbull Cruz are made for each other, and they are going to deliver. In fact, again, I think that they really are best suited to be on the Mexican Independence Day undercard of Canelo Alvarez. Run it back. Let's run back the rematch today. Angel Fierro letting everybody know that he wants that rematch. Wiley Coyote says he thinks Fierro statistically won. Let's just look at that CompuBox again one more time quickly. Yeah, Boxing Magic sides. Fierro's Mexican. He ain't about to run like Rayo did. You're running. They had a lot. A lot of the fans on Wednesday at Media Day, Drew, were yelling at Morell not to run. But Morell didn't use his legs at all. Or as we like to say, boxing or sweet science. He didn't do much of that. He could have. He should have in those middle rounds. We're going to get to that David Morell fight, but in those middle rounds, David Morell, to me, just had like the biggest brain fart there was. Like, he just stood there essentially taking all of David Benavidez's punishment for 90 seconds before throwing his own shots. My wife says, is he rope-a-doping? Is he waiting for David Benavidez to exhaust himself? It did look like that. It wasn't a very good strategy in my book. Not against David Benavidez.
I just don't get it. Like, he didn't use his gifts. He just gets to make it his fight, and it just showed that he was nothing for him after 3 or 4 rounds. Because for the first 4 rounds, you got to say it, the first 4 rounds, the fight was close. It was competitive.
Yeah, I had the fight at a draw after 4 rounds, and I actually thought that David Morell, if he had used his legs more, and boxed a little bit more smartly, could have at least picked up 3 of the 4 rounds. I anticipated him winning at least 3, maybe even 4, because we saw Caleb Plant win the first 4 rounds, and then David Benavidez really takes over. But the fact that he split those first 4 rounds and then gave up the entire middle of that fight was bad news for David Morell. We'll get to how he performed later in the fight. But, guys, I want to see this shit run. Let him run it back. Do you guys think that they should fight against in May or September of this year? They definitely need to run this one back. I think the fans really appreciate it. So much so, Drew, that I don't think it was fair. Let me know. Are you still in the chat, Fonzie? Let me know. Did they really boo loud at this fight? Let's talk about it, man. But shout out to Philadelphia's Stephen Cold Fulton. What's he go by? His middle name? Stephen Fulton.
I think Fulton fought the best fight he can fight. You know, against the style he was up against. Figueroa didn't really land punches most of the time. And Stephen Fulton went to the thing as Dick Tracy's something like that. I got Dick Tracy. I don't know what he does in there. But they got all the shampoo out. They told him that it's just a great. It was just a better fight than the first one for Fulton because he clearly dominated in this fight. He just clearly dominated.
He did definitely.
And I look at it like, oh, it was an 8-4. I had an 8-4 last time, and I had it 9-3 this time around. I could have scored it 10-2, but I gave him a thought. I gave him a thought around. You know, be generous a little bit because when you're doing a phone booth fight, which is Figueroa's specialty, you're thinking, I don't know what's his mentality. Hey, I'm just going to keep throwing and I'm going to get points for throwing punches. No, when you are doing that and he is able to stop your momentum and get a counter shot in, that gives them more of a right to score every one of those punches he lands. Even if he doesn't land, if it looks like it landed, it's going to count as a score. And a lot of the punches he has thrown did land. He outlanded Figueroa about nearly almost 80 punches.
Drew, our friend Fonzie was there, says, yes, they were yelling comments like change the fucking channel or stop the fight and go home. I didn't think the fight was that bad at all. Drew, what would you give? You rated his performance. What do you give his outfit? Because it caused a lot of controversy. I thought it was amusing. I laughed the hell out of that outfit, man. But the fake work jeans or the shorts, the jeans, and then the Timberlands. By the way, guys, those are not real Timberlands. Those are custom-made boots, boxing shoes to be made look like Timberlands. What'd you think of his outfit?
It was good.
It was fun, man. It was fun. And by the way, he stressed how much that winning this fight was going to be a good omen for the city of Philadelphia. Lord knows they needed against the Chiefs with the referees being in the back pocket of the Chiefs. They needed, and they think this set the tone for the Eagles. And by the way, Drew, did I tell you Boots Ennis, his dad, all of them were rocking Philadelphia Eagles shit on Wednesday. I saw them. I wanted to talk to them, but I didn't get a chance to. But they were all wearing their Eagles, just like you, Drew.
Yeah, he's going to talk to them. He's going to say, my man Drew is in Philly. He's a big fan of yours. But let's get back to it. But here's the thing. Shout out to all the people that are sitting at the bar Saturday night, just looking at the TV, being lonely as fuck and everything, watching boxing, looking like they're bored as fuck and everything. And shout out to everybody that had to sit through that fight. Because tell you the truth, I got kind of bored with it because it was the same type of fight. Like, I'm sorry, phone booth fights.
That's Figueroa's specialty.
Are not always fun. I'm sorry. Phone booth fights are not always fun to watch. They can be boring as fuck to watch. And I think, like, why do I want to see a phone booth fight where I can see a fight that makes the first move is going to get nailed. And then, like, knock him out. This was just a phone booth fight. They're trading punches like body to body. I'm like, yo, I'm sorry. I'm not going to sit here for 12 fucking rounds and watch this.
Well, it was a championship fight, and congratulations to Fulton, who now becomes a 2-division world champion. Now he gets a piece of the featherweight title, which leads him. We were talking about it, Drew. I would personally like to see him fight Nick Ball. I think that fight aesthetically, stylistically, would make the most entertaining fight of him in the unification between featherweight champions. I want to see him fight Nick Ball. And also, Drew, if he were to beat Nick Ball and hold 2 of those titles, he's got an excellent argument to make, because everybody knows that Inoue is eventually going to move up to featherweight, and a rematch like Nonito Donaire got a rematch. It makes sense because Inoue can come up instantly, fight in America, and Inoue is coming to America. It's been announced today. That's big. The big news today, guys. Inoue versus Picasso from Mexico City will be held at the T-Mobile Arena in June. They were originally targeting a March or April date, which is too soon for Inoue. It looks like it'll be at the beginning of the summer in Las Vegas at the T-Mobile Arena. And if he doesn't want to fight MJ, Drew, like I said, man, if Fulton can get a fight with Nick Ball, perhaps Turki Al-Sheikh can make that fight happen in Saudi Arabia, then, Inoue has an opportunity to fight Stephen Fulton for 2 belts at featherweight, man. That would be fantastic. Let me know what you guys think. I know it wasn't the most aesthetically pleasing fight, but it was stylistically the kind of fight Brandon Figueroa fights. By the way, Fulton says he just doesn't hit as hard. He hits even less hard at featherweight than he did at bantamweight. I'm going to say this about it, guys. Being there on Wednesday, being there at the weigh-in about Figueroa, something ain't right when you're bragging about how you've always been a really good-looking guy. When you're bragging about how good-looking you are, that you've been pulling bitches since you were a little kid. He calls himself the Heartbreaker, and he walks into the song Heartbreaker. I got a copyright over that song while I was watching him in the media day workout. He still calls himself a Heartbreaker. Yeah, I get it. You got blue eyes. I get it. You're a Chicano with blue eyes. Bro, you just straight up met the Jawbreaker. Look at this shot. Heartbreaker, meet the Jawbreaker. What's good, Bruce Gas, Boxing Jazz and More salute. He says, Heartbreaker, meet the Jawbreaker, man. Figueroa needs to retool and figure out what he's going to do, because I don't think he's going to beat many guys at featherweight. Now, let's get to that main event. Already, I see Nerd says he used, David Benavidez used Morell as a piñata. I did a mock parlay. Drew, you weren't able to join me last week. I did a mock parlay. And I want to say this, that I regret not betting on Fulton, because that parlay would have been perfect. I would have guessed all 4 out of 4 fights correctly. I thought that Fulton was off on media day, but I don't know him well enough to know that, man, that's the way he operates. He was actually mentally on point, focused. I thought that Figueroa was the one that's focused, but to me, Figueroa at 126, he kind of looks washed.
Oh man.
All right, guys, let's get to the main event, man. There's so much now. Obviously, David Benavidez walks away with what I said on Twitter was the most impressive win of his entire career, because of David Morell. The guy passed every single eye test to most boxing pundits. That David Morell, he was the WBA regular champion at super middleweight, and in this fight, Drew, I think it just broke down to experience. Honestly. The guy at 11 career pro fights was not ready for what David Benavidez was going to bring over the entirety of a 12-round match. I think he underestimated David Benavidez. And let's look at David Benavidez's career, guys. At 15 years old, was already sparring Kelly Pavlik, a world champion from Youngstown, Ohio, was already his sparring partner. They brought him in as a 15-year-old. Kelly Pavlik was like, damn. So much so that by age 16, David Benavidez, not much of an amateur career, became the primary sparring partner to Gennady Golovkin, one of the greatest middleweights of the past 20 years. Gennady Golovkin said, I like this kid so much, goddamn. 16 years old, spent 2 years with Gennady Golovkin as his primary sparring partner. A sparring partner that would help him eventually fight some of the biggest fights in Gennady Golovkin's careers and even prepare him for fighters like Canelo Alvarez. You can't take that kind of experience, and even if you were trained in the Cuban School of Boxing, it just wasn't good enough. It wasn't enough. Ask you, Drew, does David Morell ever beat David Benavidez?
I think if he would have fought his fight, he had a better chance. He didn't fight his fight. David David Morell is known for bringing angles with his punches.
Where were they?
That's how he was able to get clean shots and everything. He just wanted to bang with, Benavidez at that time, and I just didn't understand it. Like, yeah, people say they aged him out. Yeah, they can say they aged Chris. They aged him out. A little bit. If you look about Morell, I can't say aged out. They actually, what's that word? I'm trying to think. What's that word? They see what they were deal. They waited until they moved up to light heavyweight to see, hey, this guy's power is going to, come up or not. And it showed, the power's not all the way there yet. So
right.
You take him now when he's not a threat. But Morell wasn't using his angles that way where he gets his main punches that can be KO punches. Because Morell has one punch knockout power. But in order for Morell to get that, he has to use angles as set up for those punches.
In those exchanges, when they actually got into the trenches and exchanged, you could see that David Benavidez was being affected by David Morell's punches in those exchanges where they did happen. Just like in the fight with Canelo and Berlanga, you could see that Berlanga had power that Canelo had to respect, even though he didn't win hardly any rounds. I would actually say David Morell it'd be generous to say he won 3 or 4 rounds in this fight.
I had him winning 3 rounds.
And let's talk about that slip or knockdown, because in the review, they did use the Athletic State Commission did rule that a knockdown after looking at tape. You guys saw it in slow motion that there was a trip of the legs involved, but nonetheless, David Benavidez didn't complain. He actually acknowledged that both gloves touched the canvas. And so it was scored a knockdown. In that round, though, at the very end, Drew, that fucking exchange where they went toe-to-toe, you could see, that's what I'm saying. David Morell may have not been ready this past Saturday night. If you had given that guy another year of seasoning or so, honestly think he could have won. It would have been even closer, maybe even 7-5 in favor of Benavidez.
I'll be honest, if there's a rematch between these two and Morell gets better, it's going to be a totally different fight.
It very well may be, guys. I don't see how you can lure David Benavidez. There was a lot of animosity and bad blood. They had a lot of respect, although in the post-fight press conference, it looked like David Benavidez and Kubas, who is the manager of David Morell, they have a lot of disrespect. So I don't see how they're going to make a rematch with that level of hatred between management teams. But I wouldn't mind seeing the fight again. I just don't know, because David Benavidez is first in line for an undisputed. How does David Morell become a world champion? Caleb Plant told him, you're going to become a world champ. Where? At 168? How does he pick apart one of these titles eventually?
Man. Like, it's just Morell, what he has to do is get back to the drawing board, see how you can improve, and really see how you can really figure out what you have to do, or what weight class should you be in. Should you stay at light heavyweight, or should you stay at middleweight, super middleweight, go back down to super middleweight and see where you're at? Because it looks like I think he beats all those guys at super middleweight Morell.
Oh, no doubt he beats William Skull easily, picks up a title, potentially could force the sanctioning bodies to issue a mandate to fight Canelo Alvarez. It'd be a fantastic fight now that he has a little bit more of that upper world-class level opposition under his belt. I think he's probably going to stick around 175. There's a lot of guys like Buatsi. There's a lot of fringe contenders at 175 that might beat David Morell. I don't know if he's going to be a world champion at 175. Had he stayed at 168, I think he really might have been a world champion. Right now, with the landscape the way it is, with Canelo holding up all 3 titles there, with one person holding all the undisputed title, Beterbiev at light heavyweight. He's got to pick his fights carefully. They've got to test him. They've got to improve him. But let's talk about the body work, because on media day last Wednesday, Drew, David Benavidez was ripping body shots. You could hear that shit across the MGM hallways, and those body shots completely slowed down David Morell in this fight. It took a lot of life out of David Morell's legs. It was a key. It was a key to victory. Those body shots, I don't know why he was taking them. He just stood there for it. For 90 seconds was taking all that abuse.
Oh, man. I just don't understand that. I think that there was opportunities for Morell to counter him. He was leaning in too many times, Benavidez, and that was the perfect time to counter him. So I don't know. Like, hopefully he learns from this loss. Hopefully he becomes a better fighter because of it, and see where it goes. Like Benavidez and them saying they don't need Turkey. Yes, you do need Turkey, because your dad and Samson have mismanaged you for years, and it's nothing but a joke. So David Benavidez has to get a wake up call and say, "Yo, we're gonna see you this mount. I'll see you at a certain time, and that's it." But I look at it with Morell as in he's good. He could be a world champion. The question is it 168 and 175? And does he get a rematch? Most likely he will get a rematch. I think that they're gonna look at it in a couple of years and see how seasoned David Morell has become. And if he's seasoned enough and he's doing a lot better than he did in the first fight, I think we're going to see him get another title shot.
Yeah, real quick, Drew, I put up the compy box, 224 to 165 total punches, body landed. Benavidez, I just mentioned how efficient he was punching to the body. In the jab contest between a Cuban and the Mexican, the Mexican won 43 to 29. Power punches, 181 to 136. And we talked about Morell's first fight at light heavyweight, Drew, against Hot Rod. Hot Rod landed 43% of his power punches against David Morell. And I think you're fucking right, man. I think that's why Team David Benavidez looked at that fight and was like, I could beat this dude. If Hot Rod can land 40% of his power punches, I'm going to land even more. And indeed he did. It's really a testament to the chin of David Morell that he withstood not only that punishment to the body, but up to the face. Fonzie said earlier, it looked like Morell's face looked better. I don't know, man. I'm excited for them to someday potentially rematch and see where this goes. We mentioned it. Benavidez is the mandatory now to Beterbiev and Dimitri Bivol, the winner of that. And that rematch it's at the end of this month, man. It's just in a few weeks. It's literally in a few weeks. Shout out to Sin City Syndicate. By the way, we got a football show. Keep tuned for it. It might not be on this channel. It might be on our channel. It might be a collab. It might be on two channels at once. Probably going to do the phone line. So you're going to call and give your little prop bets for the football game? I'm sure Drew would be interested in that, Sin City. All right. We went over a lot of the fights. Real quickly, guys, did you watch Clarissa Shields, Drew? You're like, I'm not going to watch her, right?
I'm sorry she's not a draw, and I don't enjoy watching her fight. Like, she's using Pampoosh just to try to get more famous and everything. Like, I'm sorry. Clarissa Shields is not watchable. Clarissa Shields is not a draw. Clarissa Shields doesn't make you any money.
Clarissa is now the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. She beat a 42-year-old woman, 42-year-old heavyweight champion with only 5 professional fights. And somebody made a good point, Drew. They were like, if David Benavidez fought a guy with 5 fights, when he fought someone with 11, if we turn the tables around, what would people say of a male boxer who's fighting somebody, with 5 pro fights? There's only 16 women registered in the heavyweight division internationally. That's it. I mean, Not to knock it, but greatest woman of all time. I don't know. I know she's not very likable. She does have some remarkable accomplishments, but she walked in. I saw the fight. She took 4 songs to walk in, Drew. Yeah, I get it. It's your hometown. It was in Michigan. 4 songs to walk in. Fuck. It's like it was worse than an AB entrance, to be honest. But
oh man,
she did at least drop the woman. I was like, are you gonna drop her, man? She did at the very last minute drop her.
Well, man, I could have been. Oh God, I can't believe that. Man. I can't watch Clarissa Shields. Like she's this. Oh, everybody watches it. No, they don't. They put you're just not a draw.
I'm laughing. I'm laughing, Drew. I forgot. Wiley Coyote says that was a weird fucking show. Yeah, it was the heavyweight fight right before that, Drew. I watched this guy. He looked quite odd. He was like a 6'9" heavyweight. He was a white guy, but he trains with Bones Adam out of Las Vegas, which is my friend Francisco Esparza's former trainer. Bones Adam out of Las Vegas. He kept pushing and wrestling the guy and grappling. Everything was a push, grapple, hold. Eventually, they both went flying out and broke the table of Chris Mannix and Sergio Mora of the DAZN crew. They flew out the ring together and broke the table. They had to put the whole broadcast table had to be. It was quite funny. I'm shocked I don't have it. By the way, Drew, you say that's more boring. The minute I talked about Clarissa Shields, the numbers dropped. Let me just give a quick shout out this weekend. See what's more entertaining than the Clarissa Shields fight? Shout out to Joey Chestnut from San Jose, California. Again, a champion. Again, another record broken. Joey Chestnut this Saturday morning. That's right. The day of the fight, Joey Chestnut came back. I don't even know how old he is. He's fucking unbeatable, man. Ate the most bagels anybody's eaten in an eating contest. That's right. Bagel Mania, Seagulls. Bagel Mania, Bagel Eating Championships. He did it again. Another record for Joey Chestnut. Shout out to Joey Chestnut from San Jose. Let's go over some quick news, Drew. There is some boxing this weekend. Pro Box. Joshawn James was supposed to headline this from Sacramento, California versus Lester Martinez. Lester Martinez is a Guatemalan super middleweight that you must pay attention to. The guy is bad fucking ass, and they're not fighting. The main event is put off again. One of them is injured or sick. So if you want to watch some fighting on YouTube for free this weekend, Saturday, I believe also Top Rank has a card where the heavyweight Jalalov, former gold medalist, I think that's this Saturday too on Top Rank. What else is going on? Really quickly, guys. Speaking of belts and fucking, Ryan, I talked about this last week, Drew. Ryan has enrolled in VADA full time now. So they're going to be testing his piss and testing him for this potential, not only for this match against Rolly Romero, but for Devin Haney. There is now a title on the line. And once again, Rolly Romero has the potential to be a world champion. A miracle that he was a world champion at all. But yeah, the WBA has created a new welterweight title for Rolly Romero and Ryan Garcia. Where is that fake belt? What do you think of that? They already have a regular belt. They have the super belt, and now they have this Ryan Garcia WBA belt potentially.
Oh God,
that's all you got to say. Oh God, yeah, I feel you. I'm going to make an effort to have. Here's the belt. There it is. Yeah, Ryan Garcia versus Rolly Romero to be for the WBA World welterweight title. They got regular, world, super.
Ward.
Also coming up in the news, I talked about this. I'm going to try to get him on. Anybody who is from Canada that watches us, really great guy. I didn't want to disparage. I said I'm not going to disparage Jake Paul and all the good things MVP has done because they've given Lucas Body a fantastic platform and opportunity. Lucas Body fought on that card with Jake Paul on Netflix, and that was, I think, at one point over 500,000 people watched Lucas Body fight on the YouTube. 500,000 people were watching him. Now he's going to headline a card in Toronto, California, brought to you by MVP and DAZN. 18-0, still a contender at 135. You never know, man. You never know. When you got a record like that, you might be able to draw somebody in. I think the Keyshawn Davis fight versus Baranchyk is coming up in just 2 weeks, Drew. That's a legit fight. That's a legit fight. We're going to preview that one next week. It's been a great show, Drew. Anything on your mind right now?
Not really. My mind has been clearly now.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, $79.99 for the pay-per-view you guys just saw. $25.99 will get you in the building to watch the pay-per-view rematch between Dimitri Bivol and David Beterbiev. That also features Floyd Schofield. Fonzie, if you're still here, hit up Floyd Schofield's mama on Instagram. Floyd Schofield going to Saudi Arabia to fight Shakur Stevenson on this card. $25.99. I can see the numbers have dropped. If you didn't hit the like button on the way out, make sure you do. This one will laugh. Drew, Keith Thurman is going to be fighting in Australia. You know that, right? Yeah, I don't think this is a good... They're putting this picture out of Keith Thurman to promote the fight. I don't think that's a good picture to promote him. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, God.
All right, man. I'm Dave in the 702. It's been a good week, man. Super Bowl Sunday. Are you excited? What are you guys going to cook? I'm already thinking about what I'm going to cook. Am I going to bust out the grill and make burgers? How much food am I going to consume on Super Bowl Sunday, Drew? Tailgate Talk is coming back this week. Mom Food, thank you so much. By the way, Mom Food, we're working on a collaboration real soon. It might be this week, so keep tuned. Might be doing a collaboration from the gang from Arizona. That would be fantastic. Hopefully it's for this week. We're going to try to make it happen for Super Bowl Sunday. The preview right here. What are you guys going to make? Leave a comment. What spread are you going to put out there? Drew, show us that Eagles jersey one more time. Oh, shit. All right, I'm Dave in the 702. We'll see you guys later on this week. Keep tuned. Make sure you hit that bell notification. We're out. Peace.